Let's move on with all things in a way that is balanced. Otherwise, the mind will drop within one's own habits, oneself, which is habitual patterns. Therefore, let it be balanced with all things. The word everything indicates that it is ongoing great compassion. Just shift only like that. With everything, it cannot be in other ways. It has to be purifying without traces. It cannot be other things. It's not about one's own personal stuff, one's own knowing, saying. This is karmic habits, specifically with one's own karmic difficulties. When everything, it cannot be other thing else. It is the great compassion. Therefore, continue often with everything. It is not personal stuff. Let's not be obsessed with just one's own personal stuff or anything personally. Circling with just grasping or not grasping, gaining or not gaining, this is falling into samsara. This is all about karmic habits. Circling with just letting go or not letting go. Circling with just something. Duality. Meanings of dualities. Once saying everything, that's it. Instantly. Concludes to purify instantly. Not having doesn't exist. Purify like this. Not grasping for the non-grasping itself. Make a conclusion like this as a purification. Or you want everything. This is extremely. Those who are mad in taking everything, that is more than those who are madly taking everything. Make a conclusion. Not grasping for the non-grasping itself with everything, that which has nothing to do with grasping or not grasping. It's not about grasping, whether it is grasping or not grasping. Move on constantly with everything. Initiate this thought. Assume it up. The great compassion cannot happen by itself. It is to be assumed up. There is no such thing as happening by itself by the great compassion. It is assumed up totally by samsara, which is the cause. The suffering of samsara of the beings is the cause. That's why we assuming up the great compassion to help through ending. It cannot happen by itself. The word everything has to be initiated. Think of it. Those who already extinction, it turns into purification without traces. Once they initiate the word everything, purifying instantly through the emptiness. That is the great compassion in purifying samsara through the extinction and the emptiness. This is not to dwell within stillness, indifference, or ordinariness. This is karmic habits. It's a realm of existence. It's not yet beneficial for oneself or samsara. there is no purification at all. Not purifying the attempt to dwell at all. It's still the cause of the suffering of the realms of existence. Attempting to dwell within knowing, seeing, thinking, recalling, extinction, dwelling within stillness, indifference, mindfulness, dwelling within concentration, dwelling within peace, within restraint. This is the cause of the suffering of realms of existence, not beneficial for oneself or samsara at all. It's still stuck within oneself. It's stuck within the attempt to dwell. Therefore, just not relating to engaging or disengaging like this, that will purify the attempt to dwell already. Not relating to engaging or disengaging, that's purifying the attempt to dwell already. Not attached to both attaching or non-attachment, that's already purifying the attempt to dwell. One said everything, where is it that is the mind that is going to stay, to dwell? It's impossible. The attempt to dwell can only dwell within one or two things. Each feeling, each emotion, that is the delusive attachment in each moment. The word everything, when initiated, it's impossible to dwell within anything. The delusive attachment is confusing like this. Where is it is going to be dwelling or attaching? Everything is from not grasping for the non-grasping itself. The delusive attachment is over. It is not going to become delusion or delusive attachment at all. However, there is a delusive attachment, which is to rely, but it is not a delusion. The projection is not to grasp for itself, therefore it's not a delusion within the delusive attachments. There is such a thing too. The projection that is not grasping for itself, that's the upatan, the delusive attachment that doesn't grasp for itself. So each initiation, there is a delusive attachment to itself, but it has to be auto-purification. It is the great compassion. It doesn't grasp for itself. Therefore, it is not the delusive attachment that is not a delusion. In other words, it's not a delusion within the suffering. Each moment there is a suffering, even the blessing itself. But the suffering doesn't grasp for itself, therefore there is no delusion within the suffering. Each projection is itself a suffering, even the word everything. But it is the suffering that doesn't grasp for itself. It is an initiation that is forgiving. There is auto-purification in the initiation. Once there is no traces, those who already there, they don't want to bless beings. Just ask, why not blessing? If already empty, why initiate anything? It is the great compassion in blessing. If there is nothing already, why initiate anything? Why there is the reminders? Because it is a great compassion. Being afraid, Being afraid of the suffering. Because in the past, always escaping from suffering, afraid of the delusive attachment. It's difficult. It's troubling. Actually, there is no difficulty at all, because it is the initiation that doesn't grasp for itself, the delusive attachment that doesn't grasp for itself. It is the great compassion that has auto-purification in itself. It doesn't grasp for itself. There is no difficulty at all. It is not a burden. If you think the blessing is a burden, it is not a burden. Instead, it makes the burden of samsara finished. The burdens of samsara is over by the blessing. It is not to add more burdens. The great compassion gives samsara's burdens over. Make a conclusion well. Most of the time, the humans have the problem, but the non-humans don't. The arahants don't have any problems. Those who have the vows that are just about grasping or not grasping, blessing or not blessing, this is not complete vow. It has nothing to do with suffering or not. If still limited with just the opinions about suffering or not suffering, liberating or not, this is just half and half. That which has nothing to do with relating or not relating, being liberated or not. It will have nothing to do with being suffering or not also. It have nothing to do with relating or not relating. Then also it will have nothing to do with being suffering or not. In this way, it will be by the great compassion all at once, in an instant. There is no need to be 50-50 at all. It is completely at once with everything. The conclusion is already made for all of you. That it has nothing to do with attachment or non-attachment, engaging or disengaging, grasping or not grasping. This has been concluded already. The word everything, there is no need to be confused with it. If you ask what next, then that has no conclusion with Nirodha and Nibbana. Where you want to hold on, where is the main principle, you're going to be confused like that, because there is no conclusion. That which has nothing to do with engaging or disengaging, then you don't have to look for anywhere to hold on to. There is no such thing as attachment or non-attachment, holding on or not holding on. This is the initiation that discarding itself. The great compassion is not a burden. It is actually giving ending burdens for samsara. Listen well. Blessing beings, if it is a burden, then it's all about leading towards letting go or not letting go. That is not beyond. That is difficulty for sure. This is an obsession with liberating or not, over or not over. ending practicing or not, on and on. This is for sure a burden. That is not beyond ending or not ending yet. The ultimate of the non-attachment is, you know what? There is no such thing as attachment or non-attachment. If you are limited with just attachment or non-attachment, that is not smooth. It is karmic difficulties. That which has nothing to do with attachment or non-attachment, with everything. This is a conclusion that is given. That which has nothing to do with engaging or disengaging, relating or not relating. This is already a conclusion as a purification. It will not give a confusion to you or any doubt. It will not become a cause for you to be doubtful or confused. Not relating for both, relating or not relating. Everything. Everything. If there is no diligence, perseverance in making a conclusion to purify, the mind will just circling within knowing or not knowing, seeing or not seeing, understanding or not, circling in this state. Make a conclusion that purify itself constantly, so that you're not encircling. Encircling with opinions and meanings or special insights, seeing and knowing. Everything is from not relating to not relating itself. Make a conclusion like this with everything.